All right, so here's a data set that we have from page 45 in the textbook that describes the average minutes for a New York person to travel to work. First of all, median. I've got 20 numbers here. So my median is going to be, it's going to be the 10.5. It means I'm going to have 10 numbers, and it's right in the middle of the 10 numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's right between 20 and 25. It's the 10.5th number. Right between 20 and 25, if I average those together, I'm going to end up with 22.5. So that's my median. That also gives me an even number for over here. When I'm going to go find that quartile, I've got 10 numbers over here. So I'm going to find between 10 numbers, 10 plus 11, 10 plus 1 divided by 2 for the median. It's going to be the 5.5th number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's halfway between 5 and 6. It's right here, which if I average those two actually ends up being 15. So 15, 22.5, same thing, 10 numbers over here. It's going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5th number. It's going to be right here, halfway in between at 42.5. So we'll get a couple of these things out of your way here. So those are 3 of those 5 stats. Remember, we had the minimum, the quartile 1, the median, quartile 3, and here's the maximum. All right. One of the things that we are going to also take a look at is something that is known as the inner quartile range. And really all the inner quartile range is going to be the difference. It's going to be the difference between the first and the third quartile. So all we have to do for the inner quartile range is do 42.5 minus 15, and that's going to tell us the inner quartile range in this case is 27.5. All right, so that is the inner quartile range. By itself, none of those things really do a lot to help us see this. I'm now going to take this and put it right next to the one that we had before. So I just have to remember 5, 15, 22.5, 42.5, 85. We'll probably have to come back and look at it. But here's the one that we had before. Now we're talking about, this was North Carolina. And this is also done on page 46, and here is New York. So all we're doing is we're saying, well, the minimum was 5 still. And I'll jump back and forth. The first quartile was 15. So again, I like to go in and kind of say, here's the bigger box starting right there. Let's see if I can get a couple of these all at once. 22.5, 42.5, 85. Yeah, so 22.5 is right in here. 42.5, I'm going to keep going up to somewhere, looks like right in here, and my box is not very boxy. And then notice this guy going all the way up here to 85. So again, you'll see that there's a bigger range in between the quartiles. That inner quartile range here was 27.5. Over here, the median was, or the quartile 3 was 30 and 10. This has a quartile range of 20. All right, so there's a bigger range there. It doesn't really help us decide if it's skewed or see the shape. What we can tell is that this graph is more skewed to the right, heavily skewed to the right. You'll see it goes all the way up to 85. Even though the minimum was about the same, look how close the medians are, really pretty similar. Same with the first quartile. There's not a big difference here, but you start seeing a lot more data up in this area of the graph in New York at the higher end. Some people had some really outrageous times to travel to work. But that is the inner quartile range, and once again kind of shows you how you can take these two box plots and plot them on the same graph to start to kind of compare two different sets of data. All right. And again, we can tell about how symmetric they are. The ideal box plot would really probably look something like this, where here I'm going to say if it started like this, wherever it starts and ends, and it's like, oh, here's the median, and regardless of the interquartile range, but if I had it, I suppose, perfectly symmetrical, I would have almost the same amount of data in all of them. Very rare that you're going to see that, but that would be maximum, minimum, quartile 1, median, and quartile 3. So again, interquartile range is another measure of spread. Goes along with the minimum, the maximum, the median, which is a measure of center, and goes along with this, and quartile 1 and quartile 3, kind of breaking it up into 4 parts. And next time we are going to take a look at standard deviation and how that applies to the pictures of the distributions that we've been looking at.